All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to take a look at a game that is very close to what Wuthering Wave is nowadays. Now, I personally can't say I know what's going on with this game, but a lot of you wanted me to react to this video because apparently it's pretty damn good. Shout out to the homie Glaive. Glaive always knows how to get people to watch his content. With a title like this, you can't tell me you're not interesting. The title of the video is called How Genshin Impact Sells Disappointment. Now, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I was a big Genshin fan back in the day. I actually have over 100 plus videos and over probably 100 streams on one of my channels for Genshin Impact. I have a couple of characters. Max Stoop does well in Genshin, but there is a reason I quit the game and play the superior gacha game nowadays, that is Wuthering Waves. So I want to see what Glaive has to say regarding Genshin Impact and how they sell disappointment. So let's go ahead and hop on in.
There is a strange contradiction at the heart of Genshin Impact. On one hand, it is one of the most successful games ever made. A massive, beautifully crafted open world that you can, for the most part, play entirely for free.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I love the world of Genshin. Like, the way it looks, very bright colors, a ton of stuff to explore. So if you like exploring, Genshin, it's still good. While there are things that I'm sure we're gonna get into the video that might not be the best, we can't take certain feats from Genshin, and that is the fact that their world is still pretty damn cool.
On the other hand, though, its community often seems to be in a constant state of frustration.
Oh yeah, bro, let's be honest, the Genshin community straight up feels like they're always blue-balled. It feels like they're getting cheated on. They're always grumpy and salty. Like, why, bro? Like, let me be honest. Would you guys have the need to defend something that's already great? No, because everybody knows it's great. The fact that a lot of Genshin players stay on defensive mode with their game pretty much tells you everything you need to know regarding their game. That's all I'm saying. Once again, I'm not hating on the game, but the fact that a lot of their community seems to be the most toxic individuals in the gacha space, pretty much making guerrilla warfare groups out there to attack other games and their communities, that kind of says a lot about their game.
In a cycle of high expectations and deep disappointment.
Yep.
Or, you know, sometimes it's low expectations and they get disappointed anyway. It's a complex issue, okay? And you see...
Bro, that's crazy. Yo, we had low expectations and we still got cooked. That's insane.
This captured all the time by content creators who break down the latest developer livestream and
Hey, yo, the homie Ethan over here. What's good?
point out this strange disconnect between what the company says and what the players actually experience. It raises a fundamental question: why does this keep happening? Are these just a series of unforced errors from a developer that is out of touch, or is there something more deliberate at play? This video is an attempt to look past the day-to-day drama and to understand that question, to examine the Hoyoverse paradox, and to figure out if these constant contradictions are a flaw in their business model, or if they are the business model itself. Ooh. It has been lingering for a long time, this problem, and one we will be exploring a lot on this channel. So if you're interested in more discussions that take a critical look at the problems in the gacha space, consider liking the video and subscribing because it helps a lot. But to start, you need to understand the official story Hoyoverse tells the world. You have to first look at their public philosophy. It is built on two core ideas that, on the surface, they sound pretty good. The first is the image of the benevolent developer, a narrative Hoyoverse often projects about itself. This has
didn't one of their developers or their face of their company make a whole crying stance in front of their players, thanking them or saying sorry or something? I heard people talking about that. I don't really know much about it, but didn't they do that, talking about how they care so much about their player base and they do all of this for them?
Led to a deeply sarcastic meme within the community nowadays. Genshin does not want to make money. I mean, who said
Genshin doesn't want to make money?
That, am I right? But it's now precisely to highlight the massive gap between that official narrative and the game's actual practices. Looking at their revenue, which sailed past $4 billion way back in 2022, and last month they made like, what, 50 million or something?
Bro, you know what's crazy, bro? People want to yap about these companies and defend them, and I'm not just talking about Genshin. This goes for every single gacha gaming company out there. If you're defending a gacha game company, you're stupid. You're just dumb. You were dropped as a baby. Bro, this company, with just 2 of its games, made over $50 million just from this little chart that he has here. This could be off. This could be like $10 million less or $10 million more. Point is, they made close to $50 million in just 1 month. And this was a low month. Look at this month before that. And they still be pushing out some doo-doo ass content, some doo-doo ass updates, some doo-doo ass quality of life. And then you'll still have people out here trying to defend them. Bro, they made $50 million in a low month. And people want to defend these companies. What are we doing?
Mobile alone, you can understand the blatant rage bait these devs are trying to do. But the reason this narrative probably has any legs at all is probably because Hoyoverse does some things that other companies in this space kinda rarely do. For example, think about cosmetic skins. Most live service games, and I'm not talking about the big 3 or the big 4, right? I'm talking about generally most live service games, they flood their shops with new outfits constantly. Because it's easy money. In Genshin, a new skin is a rare event. They give some away for free and almost always.
Yo, are those Genshin skins? That shit looks like ass. Hey, that looks like doo-doo. Hey, I'm not saying Wuwa skins don't. They pretty trash too, but damn.
And almost always tie the paid ones into a story. The perception it gives is that they value the world's integrity more than a quick buck. The same goes for giving a free 5-star character. The effect is an image of a developer focused on
Ain't no way they brought up that bro. Bro, they did a whole collab for no reason. What was the point of giving Homegirl over here? Nobody uses her. Not even, bro. I ain't never seen a gacha game ever do a collab where the collab unit is trash the moment she drops. That's never happened. I understand collab units may be getting, you know, power crept a year later, but I've never seen a gacha game drop a collab where the unit is doo-doo from the moment they drop and they never get just buffed or anything. And if she got buffed, she was still trash. So like, that's actually insane. I ain't never seen anybody want to use this character.
A free 5-star character. The effect is an image of a developer focused on the art, not on squeezing every last dollar out of you.
That is straight up cap, because ain't Genshin do like didn't they do on their first ever anniversary like a whole bundle where they were giving out like not giving out, where they were selling some fucking chicken wings? Like, they were literally selling you a glider for the first anniversary, and then they had like player backlash or something, and they ended up giving it out for free. Something along those lines. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. But
an image. Remember, this is an image. You need to hear me out here. The second
I'll hear you out, Glaive. I got you, bro.
Image of their philosophy is the no excessive anxiety doctrine. This one comes directly from the source. In an interview with GameSpot in 2022, the developers were asked about adding more difficult endgame content. Their response was that they were hesitant because it might cause excessive anxiety for the players. Well,
it might cause excessive anxiety for the players to add harder endgame content. Ain't people talking about how some of the latest content in Genshin is pretty much tailor-made for the newest characters, and how some of the newer characters are power creeping the older characters? I think that creates more excessive anxiety when the characters you pulled are getting power crept consistently. And that just goes for every gacha game.
For the players. Well, essentially, they're saying they're actively protecting the casual majority from stress. They would rather add something relaxing, like the in-game card game that nobody plays.
I guess Mondstadt's economy is powered by hopes and dreams. And also, the card game. Look, Timmy, I know your dad's dead and all, but do you want to play Gwent?
Then something that
he just did Timmy mad wrong in that little clip.
Makes people feel pressured. They position themselves as guardians of low-stress experience. These two ideas work together to form a carefully constructed image of a developer that seems unusually generous and deeply concerned with its players' well-being. This official framework, however, was tested early and dramatically. That first major test happened in September 2021, the game's first anniversary. Expectations were incredibly high. This is partly because players of Hoyoverse's older title, Honkai Impact 3rd, were kinda used to generous anniversary of.
That's a crazy anniversary patch from all of these things I'm seeing here.
events, the community was expecting a real celebration. What they got instead was work. They got a job, which is probably a gift for most people nowadays, but what if you don't win? You just don't get paid. Instead of substantial in-game gifts, the celebration was a series of community contests for cosplays and fan art.
What the hell was even that? Oh no.
Cosplays and fan art, alongside web events with lottery-based prizes. Your reward for a year of loyalty was a chance to win something. You were being given a gift. You were being asked to create more marketing material for free. The community's reaction was swift and massive. A coordinated review bombing campaign on the Google Play Store crashed the...
Yeah, I remember that happened, bro. People were so mad. And this was one of the first games that I had really seen such huge backlash from the community right away. And then they replied and barely fixed it, like barely did anything. And the people were like, oh, okay, it's fine. Whoop.
On the Google Play Store crashed the game's rating from a healthy 4.5 stars to below 2.0 in hours. Official Genshin Discord channels were flooded with hate and criticism that they restricted and put it on slow mode, and it's flooded with Chi-Chi emoji to show how fed up everyone was. And then it got weird. The protest famously spilled over to unrelated apps. People were leaving 1-star reviews on Google Classroom and Clash of Clans or other games like that with comments complaining about Genshin's anniversary. It was a digital riot. It was so bad that it set up a new culture for the gacha space. Every time a bad anniversary is being announced, Google Classroom will get review bombed for some reason. And this was never about players just wanting free stuff. It was a fundamental rejection of the relationship Hoyoverse was offering. Players felt they had proven their loyalty and support, but in return, were being treated like a marketing demographic to be engaged, not like partners who had helped build this success. The anniversary showed the community had a line. And when it comes to the game's core content, the characters, the developers' responses have shown an even more fascinating and calculated evolution. To see this evolution, you only need to look at two specific moments: the story of Zhongli and the story of Dea. Both were highly anticipated characters, central to their nation's stories, and released in a severely underpowered state.
Yo, you know what's crazy regarding this topic? I remember when Zhongli dropped, I had this dude and I duped him up a little bit. And all I knew was that there was a gigantic community like uproar regarding the dude where I'm pretty sure they buffed him. I could be wrong, I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure they buffed him. And then years later, I had already quit Genshin. And like I said, I'm not a Genshin hater, bro. In all reality, I'm always looking for other games to play that I enjoyed. So I was like, hey, maybe I'll go back to Genshin and I'll enjoy it again like I did when it first released, that I was addicted to it. And the one character that made me want to go back to play Genshin was Dea. I love dark-skinned characters. Dark-skinned characters are the one reason why I'll play any gacha game. It don't matter if the gacha game is something I know about or it even looks good. If you show me a dark-skinned character, I'll hop into the game. It's that simple. I was gonna hop back in for Dea. A few days after she dropped, I wouldn't stop seeing videos saying how she was the worst unit in the game and she was downright trash. She was horrible, yada yada yada. And that shit just piqued my interest in going back into the game. The fact that this character that looked this good was getting doo-dooed on, bro. It broke my soul, man.
Severely underpowered states. How Hoyoverse handled them tells you everything about how their strategy has changed. First, Zhongli in version 1.1. As the Geo Archon, the hype was enormous, but on release, his abilities were flawed. He did almost no damage. Like, he kicks his spear as a basic attack and it does no damage. He summons a meteor from the sky, and it's kind of mid. He was often worse than some widely available 4-star characters. But now looking back at the game, I guess nobody can beat our god Xiangling, right? The community's reaction went far beyond disappointment though at that time.
Genshin's best character, Bennett,
escalating into massive unified outrage and accusations of false advertising. Hoyoverse's first response was to basically say, "You're just using him wrong. This only made things worse." Faced with a potential revolt, they did a complete 180 and announced a massive post-release buff that transformed Zhongli into one of the most powerful characters in the game. This set a precedent, an unwritten rule. The community learned that if the backlash was big enough, they could force a developer to fix a character after after the release. And now fast forward to over 2 years to Daya in version 3.5. She was arguably in a much worse state than Zhongli.
Yep.
Her kit was a mess of bugs and abilities that worked against each other. Her damage was so low that using her was often a net loss. The community reacted just as loudly, and this time compiling exhaustive documents and videos cataloging every flaw, fully
Bro, I'm telling y'all, the Genshin community turned into FBI agents whenever you mess with their game, bro.
expecting the Zhongli president to apply. They made their case,
Yo, hold up. I've seen something interesting.
cataloging every flaw, fully expecting the Zhongli president.
Ooh,
The Zhongli
I mess with it. Out hit.
president to apply. They made their case and waited for the fix. But Hoyoverse's response this
Bro, like, she looks so good. How you gonna drop a character like this and do them dirty, bro? This shit hurts my soul. She looks so good.
time, complete and total silence. In a way, I think this is a strategic pivot. The Zhongli buff came when the game was young
Yup.
and Hoyoverse was vulnerable. The Daya decision came from a
Yup.
position of immense market dominance.
Yep, I often say this about big companies, right? I always compare things like this to Rockstar games. I remember that at one point, and this was a while back, and I'm gonna just tell you this. So, I used to cover Red Dead Redemption in one of my channels, and I remember they weren't dropping any content after a lot of promises to their player base, and they weren't doing anything. And I remember the entire Red Dead Rockstar community, the same folks that make GTA, got together and they made a clown movement where all the online players of Red Dead Online were dressing up as clowns, right? Clown outfits, the whole clown thing. I think you would have masks that would make you look like a clown. The whole thing. Literal gaming outlets, gaming journalists and everything started making content talking about these issues and how the community was up at arms because of Rockstar's lack of care for Red Dead Online. What do y'all think Rockstar did? I'm gonna let you guess. Let me know in the comments what you think Rockstar did. I'll wait. It was actually insane. What Rockstar actually went and did the very next week after everybody did the clown movement, they made all the clown items from the game discounted. They dropped the price on all the clown items so more people could go out and dress as a clown, because they gave no shits about the community being upset, bro. Tell me how that's not a slap to the face to their player base. And I feel that games like that and companies, when they get to a certain degree, they don't care about their player base because they know they're still going to give them their money. And it's the same with Genshin. And Glaive just put it perfectly. When Zhongli came out, everybody was like, yo, brand new game. They're not treating us good. I think Zhongli was like one of the first like 3-4 characters to drop. I don't remember, but he was relatively one of the first characters to drop. So they're like, yo, we got to make sure that people know that we all about them. We care for them, blah, 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 blah. Later down the line, they're established. They're arguably the biggest gacha gaming company out there. Bigger than any other company if you add up the money that all their gacha games make, right? They don't got to listen to their player base at this point, because in all reality, bro, we're at a point where people will continue to give them money no matter what. It just is what it is. That's why they probably didn't care about Daya being doo-doo, and they just moved along and released their next character, bro. That's just crazy.
They intentionally broke the precedent they had set years earlier and sending a clear message. The era of community-forced character buffs was over.
Yep.
This shift points to the deeper systemic reality that governs the game, the economic engine working behind the curtain. So let's talk about that engine. You have to understand the gacha system itself. It functions less like a simple slot machine and more like a finely tuned financial instrument, likely designed with input from teams of psychologists and economists. Its job is to convert desire into spending. It starts with the odds, a tiny 0.6 base probability for a 5-star. To counter this, the game has a pity system, but the real psychological hook is the 50-50. When you finally hit pity, you only have a 50% chance of getting the character on the banner. This near miss is a powerful motivator to keep spending. According to an estimate someone made, securing a guarantee can cost as much as $365 for one character. character.
That's
And then there's a
crazy.
weapon banner, which the community often calls a scam or a whale trap. For a long time, it had no ultimate guarantee system at all. Their fix was a system requiring up to a staggering 240 wishes.
Y'all remember back in the day, Tectone crashing out, the famous, was it Staff of Homa incident? Something like that? I remember about that, and not long after that, they kind of changed the weapon banner, if I'm not mistaken.
To guarantee a weapon. It is a tool to make spending more predictable for the highest spenders, not a feature for the average player. This is all wrapped in deceptive marketing. On the Google Play Store, you won't find words like gacha, gambling, or loot box, making it a minefield for parents and younger players, especially with the ease of one-click purchasing. The monetization also goes deeper. The game has known to be selling solutions to problems it creates by monetizing core gameplay mechanics. It is about pulling for essential quality of life features. The cleanest example is exploration. Core abilities like grappling or improved wall climbing are now locked exclusively to limited time.
That is actually outrageous, the fact that they go about doing things like this. And then when we get characters like Cantarella and Wuthering Waves that has a little bit faster swimming, some bumbaclots want to come out here saying, yo, they're power creeping. They're doing the same thing as Genshin. First off, nobody swims in freaking Wuthering Waves. Second off, we have flight that everybody has access to. So the quality of life that some characters might improve is barely noticeable and not something that even really matters. Phoebe, for example, she can glide when you hold her heavy attack. Oh, wow, she can glide. A quality of life improvement. We can all fly around the game. What does it matter if Phoebe has a little bit of a glide to it? But the fact that you have characters like this that can just move faster around the game, or he said grapple or other things like that, is wild to me.
5-star characters. These characters only appear on banners that rerun every 6 to 7 months, manufacturing a powerful sense of urgency, the fear of missing out. And the most cynical part, these expensive abilities are often region locked. You might pay hundreds of dollars for a character with a cool traversal skill, only to find it works at full power in one specific region. It essentially turns a permanent character into a temporary rental for the new content.
That is wild. I didn't know they did things like that, bro.
And finally, there's the illusion of balance, managed through power creep. There is horizontal progression, which means getting new characters that do different things, and vertical progression, which is getting new characters that are simply stronger. In the past, Genshin focused on horizontal progression. Kazuha, for example, didn't make Venti useless, but that has been changing, especially since the release of the Dendro element, which raised the power ceiling. They managed this creep carefully so your old characters don't feel useless overnight. This avoids financial anxiety for players, which in turn protects their long-term revenue stream. This complex engine is protected by that benevolent philosophy, but it also protected by a segment of the community that defends these practices. This is where the dynamic gets really interesting, because you see a cycle play out time and time again. It usually starts with a developer livestream. A recent example was a presentation where the host proudly said, compared to last year, the rewards and optimizations this year are hitting way harder, like this masterless Stella Fortuna. Wow.
Yo, isn't that thing, isn't like,
Masterless.
correct me guys if I'm wrong, isn't this thing that whole thing that caused a huge issue where they said that pretty much once you mass dupe a character, you have a max dupe, you're gonna be able to get more levels if you get more dupes of the character? That is, bro, that is actually insane. Racing the level cap on a game, on a gacha game, is something that's pretty common nowadays. But the fact that they lock it behind max dupes is absolutely insane, bro. Like, if this was a multiplayer game, that shit would instantly kill the game. But no, it's a single player, which is the thing a lot of people will use. But it's still absolutely insane to me, bro. 3 dupes after C6 to get 100. Bro, 3 dupes is actually insane, bro. That's actually crazy.
Like this masterless Stella Fortuna. Wow! In practice, hitting way harder meant getting duplicates for characters many considered B tier, and a new level cap system with punishing math. You can now level characters past 90, but only if you already had them at C.
Yup, bro, that's so crazy to me. Look, if Wuwa did this shit, I'll fry them. Like, I'll cook them for this. This is such a stupid thing to do, bro. This is like the perfect opportunity for me, like for these companies to actually compensate or fix certain older units and allow them to be stronger so then they can push forward into newer content, right? But instead, they make it so the whales are now stronger. And this is coming from someone that has multiple units max stooped in a game like Wuthering Waves, or max stooped them back in the day in Genshin. This is never a good thing to do, bro. Like, I don't know who out there came up with this, but that's actually insane.
6. And even then, you needed 3 more duplicates of that maxed out character to do it. The community's reaction to this being presented as a gift was negative, with many criticizing the host for, as they put it, acting like Weasley little liars, dude. It felt dishonest. But then, the second part of the cycle begins. As criticism mounts, a predictable set of arguments emerges from parts of the community that defend the developer. There is always the classic, "It's a free game, you are not entitled."
Bruh. That's so dumb.
This ignores the reality of a business model that generates billions. The game is free the same way a casino floor is free to walk on. And then comes, "If you don't like it, just quit." This dismisses the criticism.
Bro, anybody, like, it all comes down to the way you deliver your message, right? At least for me, it really comes down to the way you deliver your message. And I've always said, entitled fucks are annoying, right? Like, I don't like people that are entitled. But I feel that constructive criticism, and if you're passionate about something, you've been playing the game, you could be a content creator, someone that just loves to play, yap, and interact with the community in multiple streams and social media, you're still part of what's helping the game grow. So when you point out certain things that are, you know, flawed, that are cooked, that are not good, you shouldn't use "it's a free game" or "just quit" as solid reasoning. That shit just shows that you're used to getting cucked. You probably get pegged by your girl, which I'm not judging you for that, but that's still that's some soft shit, bro. Like, you really got to go out here and analyze what these companies are doing. And if they're doing some bullshit, if they're doing some sketchy shit, call them out for it. Call them out. Not on everything, but come on, bro. This particular issue sounds absolutely insane, bro. Locking character level ups behind a max duped character that a probably 0.1% of the community will ever get seems scummy as hell. That's pretty damn rough, if you ask me.
That often comes from the most invested players, the ones who want the game to improve. And finally, the ultimate shield. It is a gacha game. It is always a gacha game. Of course they're gonna make money. Of course they're gonna be predatory. This argument is used to excuse any and all problems and normalize mediocrity. It is like going to an all-you-can-eat buffet and being served stale bread and then accepting it, glorping it, because that's just what this particular buffet serves. It is a mindset that allows developers to do the bare minimum and get away with it.
Bro, and that's why a lot of these gacha games don't progress. Like, it genuinely baffles me how people say they care about the game, but when people want to point out things that are not done right, and they want to point out things that should be improved, the same people that say they care about the game come out and attack these people. So if you care about the game, why aren't you advocating for the improvement and betterment of the game? Now, I understand if people out there are saying, "Yo, Genshin is a piece of shit, it's trash, this game sucks, I hope Kuro dies, or Hoyo dies." I understand the fans of the game going at them. But when it's logical what they're saying, if they're calling out this predatory mechanic or that thing that wasn't well implemented, the people that say they care about the game should be the first ones in line to support said takes and, you know, push the game to be better.
Their argument, of course, is the call for players to be active fans, to demand better from a multi-billion-dollar company instead of passively accepting whatever
Exactly what I'm saying, bro.
for table scraps they're given. This frames criticism as engagement from a community that knows what the game is capable of. And so this cycle continues, which brings us to the central question. What does this all mean at the end? When you put all the pieces together, the Hoyoverse paradox isn't a sign of incompetence or hypocrisy. It is the business model. Hoyoverse has become a master of operating two completely different versions of Genshin Impact at the same time, within the same product. The first version is the game, the beautiful content, rich, accessible open world RPG that you can download and play for hundreds of hours without spending a single dollar. It is the version filled with art, incredible music, and exploration. This is the product they advertise. But version 2 is the engine, the ruthless, psychologically tuned monetization system running just beneath the surface. The gacha, the weapon banner, the monetized quality of life features. It is a cold, calculated machine designed for maximum profit. This is the product they sell. The unprecedented success of Genshin Impact lies in their ability to keep a wall between these two tracks for the vast majority of players. All of the controversies we've discussed are simply the moments when that wall breaks. They are the predictable points of impact when the harsh reality of the engine becomes painfully visible to the players who are just trying to enjoy the game. And while this model is ruthlessly efficient, it's always important to remember that the fundamental truth of any live service game ultimately is the community. It is not the corporations that gives these worlds life. But you know, that is all from me. That is just my opinion.
Yo, shout out to Glaive. This was a really good video, bro. It didn't go down the path, and I'm sure there are gonna be people that paint it as drama, you know, attacking the game, but it's one of those things that it's genuine. Like, everything he said is straight up facts. You can't sit here and deny a lot of the things he was saying, because everything that he was pointing out, it's straight up the way it's been and probably continue to be, bro. When it comes to these gacha games, you should never be defending these gacha games, bro. Like, they make millions of dollars. Why do you feel the need to defend them? It's just absolutely insane to me. And when it comes to the quality of the game, bro, it should never be locked behind paying. And the fact that I personally think, and that's why I ended up quitting the game, I feel that Genshin Impact and Hoyo does the bare minimum for their games because people still give them money. Be it this game, ZZZ, whatever game they're going to do next, they do the bare minimum because they've built this cult-like following that will continue to give them money. It's the same type of mentality I was referring to when it comes to Rockstar Games. Bro, the developers, and tell me if I'm wrong, chat, the developers of GTA 6, Rockstar, could come out right now, the head of the company could come out and say, anybody that buys GTA 6 is a dumbass. If you buy GTA 6, you're a moron. Let them drop GTA 6 and watch how it's going to be the best-selling game of the last 10 years. Probably without question. It's the same way that companies like Hoyo act nowadays. They know that no matter what they do or don't do, you're still going to give them money. And that brings me to this little clip right here that someone sent me that they wanted me to react to. Now, I'm just going to add this into this video because we've already been reacting for about 30 minutes. So I'll just add this into what this whole thing is. They're comparing broadswords, right? All the broadswords and how the gameplay from broadswords have evolved in Genshin Impact to Augusta, the latest broadsword character, 1 year into the game's lifespan. So I really want to see with you guys and hear your opinions on this and what you guys think. Okay, pretty basic. This is a standard banner character, for those of you that don't know. Standard banner broadsword gameplay, year 1. Okay. Okay. Why she feels like it's in slow-mo. Is this shit in slow-mo? No, it's normal. Okay, there we go. She's moving a little faster. Oh no. You got me fucked up with that type of gameplay, bro. What the you know, I'm gonna let it go. That guy looks cool though, I'm not gonna lie. Bro, did this dude make this shit in slow-mo on purpose? Like, what's happening? Okay, they do like a little combo that moves a little fast, but what the fuck's up with the beginning animations, bro? Hold on. What is happening? got me messed up. Why is she spinning so slowly? Oh. Hold on, bro. That was funny. Yo, she's spinning so slow, bro. That is crazy. Oh, we got a Lego sword. Why do they move so slow, bro? Oh, I know she's hella popular. Okay, let's see what she brings to the table. We have OG Augusta over here. Okay. Okay, let's watch Augusta now. Bro, the animations alone are on a whole nother level. Oh god, okay. That's actually insane. Bro, Wuthering Waves plunge attack? Hold on. Wuthering Waves plunge attack. Genshin Impact's plunge attack. You got me messed up, bro. That's actually insane, bro. That's crazy, bro. That's wildly insane, bro. Bro, look, it don't matter if you defend it for whatever reason. The reality of it is that if the game came out 5 years ago and your combat was looking like this, and it don't matter if you're gonna say, well, nobody uses basic attacks. It don't matter, bro. The animations are there. The developers spend time and resources making these animations. There should be no reason why your animations look like this, bro. Right? Like this? Hold on, let's look at that again. Let's look at that again. And 5 years later, they look like this, bro. Hold on. 5 years down the line, they looking like this. You can't defend that, bro. That's actually insane, bro. That's actually insane when you look at it. And the fact that people want to defend that is crazy. They're putting their time, their money into the game, and they don't care that they still have these basic ass animations for characters that are as popular as Mabuika, I think is her name. I think she's an Archon, I don't even know. But it's just insane, bro. This Augusta ain't even an Archon. She ain't even one of the strongest characters per se in the story. And the thought into the animations just goes a long way. But this was just a little rant to what the other video had to offer. But overall, let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. Shout out to Glaive. Great video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.